Well, we've seen a recent burst in activity in the Atlantic, and while we're past the peak of the season, still pretty typical to stay active into the first half of October. But as we get closer to November, we should begin to rapidly see the tropics start to taper off. So as we get into October, here's what we typically expect. We usually see development down the western Caribbean, and that puts Florida in the greatest risk as those cold fronts come down and push storms off towards the northeast. Here in Texas, our chances for tropical trouble go down dramatically during the month of October. But right now, it's still pretty active out there at the moment. We have a disturbance in the Caribbean that could develop towards the end of the week. We have Tropical Storm Kirk out in the open Atlantic. And then we have another wave behind Kirk, which could cause some problems down in the Caribbean heading into next week. So let's start off with Tropical Storm Kirk, just below hurricane strength this afternoon. 70-mile-per-hour winds will likely become a hurricane later on today. And this thing's huge, by the way. Looks like a developing typhoon out in the western Pacific. Either way, Kirk expected to become a large and powerful hurricane over the next several days. Category 3 officially by the National Hurricane Center. But for right now, this poses no threat to the United States and is expected to go out to sea, which means it'll only be a problem for the fish. In the Caribbean, though, area of disturbed weather we're keeping an eye on right at the moment. Still has a long way to go, though, before it develops. But by the time we get to this weekend, this is expected to move up into the Gulf of Mexico, where it is expected to slowly organize. But this is not going to be our problem here in Texas. This looks to be another issue for Florida. So the next two names on the list are Leslie and then Milton. And we'll be watching what happens in the tropics closely in the coming days.